When you step onto a job site, the dangers usually just scream right at you.
Oh, absolutely. They're unavoidable.
Right. You've got a crane swinging a massive steel load overhead.
Yeah.
Or you have an open 10-foot trench just waiting to swallow someone.
Yeah, or the blinding sparks from an angle grinder cutting through rebar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can see the risk, so you motor tie off, you put up a guardrail, you hand out the safety glasses. It's totally tangible. You can put your hands on it.
It's physical. You respect it because the cause and effect are immediate.
But looking at the stack of research and safety data we're diving into today, the biggest financial threat to a contractor's bottom line isn't falling debris. It is entirely invisible.
It's a massive blind spot because the regulatory landscape has totally shifted underneath the industry while everyone was looking up at the cranes.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because our mission for this deep dive is to pull insights from these sources, specifically some staggering OSHA enforcement data, to show you why your traditional paper-based safety methods are secretly your biggest financial liability.
Yeah, it's a huge liability right now.
And if you're a construction business owner looking to scale your operations, we're going to break down how modern software and AI are changing the game. We'll show you how to close your compliance gap before an auditor ever sets foot on your site.
And we aren't here to fearmonger, by the way.
No, not at all.
We're here to give you practical mechanisms, real tools to protect your crew and, your profit margins.
So I think the best place to start is just the sheer volume of the enforcement. Between 2021 and 2025, OSHA handed down 37,000 violations in the construction and manufacturing sectors.
What's fascinating here is the specific nature of those citations, because they are overwhelmingly not for the missing guardrails or the untied harnesses.
Really?
Yeah, they are hazard communication violations, or HAZCOM for short.
HAZCOM, okay.
It is entirely about chemical exposure, improper labeling, safety data sheet management, and the worker's fundamental right to know exactly what they are being exposed to.
Wait, let me challenge that premise for a second. Because when I think of construction safety, I still picture harnesses and hard hats. Are we really saying that a missing piece of paper about concrete dust is the thing taking companies down?
That's exactly what's happening.
That sounds like an administrative technicality, not a safety crisis.
Well, it sounds like a technicality until you look at how it actually plays out on the ground.
Right.
Contractors get caught constantly because they genuinely don't realize they're non-compliant.
Because they think chemicals mean like glowing green sludge in a lab.
Exactly. But on a job site, everyday materials fall under strict HAZCOM regulations. Take silica, which is essentially just concrete dust.
Right.
Or the industrial adhesives used for commercial flooring, solvents for cleaning heavy equipment, specialized roof coatings. Every single one of those requires a readily accessible safety data sheet, an SDS.
And that sheet details the health risks and the mitigation protocols, right?
Correct.
So, to put a practical lens on this, if you have a crew member cutting cinder block in an enclosed stairwell, they're breathing in silica.
Yeah, a lot of it.
If an OSHA inspector walks onto that site, they don't just check if the worker has a mask. They ask that worker where the hazard documentation is.
That is the exact mechanism of the violation. If that worker shrugs, or if the foreman has to spend 20 minutes digging through a truck cab to find a torn piece of paper in a binder,
then you fail the inspection.
Direct failure of the right to know standard. The documentation wasn't readily accessible, and the financial stakes of missing that documentation are incredibly severe.
Yeah, the numbers in our sources are staggering. The average OSHA serious violation penalty right now sits at $16,131.
And that's just the average.
Right, but if the auditor deems it a willful violation, meaning they think you knew about the hazard and just ignored the paperwork, that penalty can hit $161,323 per instance.
You really have to emphasize the per instance part, because an auditor doesn't just write one ticket and leave.
Oh, man. So if you're missing the SDS for the flooring adhesive and the concrete sealant and the solvent,
those are separate violations. If you have the same systemic failure across 3 different active job sites, those numbers stack exponentially.
Wow. So one bad audit can literally wipe out the profit margin on an entire commercial build.
Easily.
You spend 18 months value engineering a project to save $100,000, and you lose it in a single afternoon because someone couldn't find a piece of paper about a bucket of glue.
And that realization is the catalyst for the massive shift we're seeing. The old way of doing things has simply become mathematically unviable for anyone trying to scale.
Yeah, if one missing sheet costs over $160,000, The industry isn't just going to ask project managers to be a little more careful. They have to fundamentally change how they operate.
Right.
In fact, looking at Smart Business Automator's market intelligence report, the Google search volume for construction safety management software has spiked 450%.
That is a massive jump.
And searches for just construction safety software are up 350%.
Right.
That's not a gradual adoption curve. That is a panic.
Well, the panic is justified. But it isn't solely driven by the fear of random OSHA audits.
No.
No, if we connect this to the bigger picture, there is a much more immediate operational wall that contractors are hitting.
What's that?
Large general contractors, the GCs who control the most lucrative subcontracts. They are completely revamping their own risk management protocols. They are now strictly requiring digital safety documentation from their subs.
Oh, just to even bid on a job.
Exactly, it's a pre-qualification baseline now.
So, bringing a dusty paper safety binder to a modern job site is basically like showing up to pour a foundation with a plastic beach bucket.
That is a great way to put it.
You're not even going to win the bid in the first place. You're disqualified before they look at your pricing.
The beach bucket analogy is perfect. A GC looks at a paper binder and they just see an unauditable liability. They are playing defense against their own insurance carriers.
Because if an incident happens, the GC's insurance provider is going to demand a real-time, time-stamped audit trail.
Right. Yes. They need proof that safety protocols were followed that morning. A coffee-stained paper sign-in sheet from a toolbox talk does not hold up to modern legal scrutiny.
Right. Anyone could have scribbled that after the fact.
Exactly. The GC knows that binder won't protect them, so they pass on your bid and award it to the sub who has a fully digital, instantaneous trail.
But let's look at the reality of the mud and the dirt for a second. If a paper binder gets you disqualified, what does the digital replacement actually do?
It does a lot, but it has to be built right.
Because a beautiful cloud-based software dashboard means absolutely nothing if it bricks the moment you step into a subterranean parking garage where there's zero cell service.
Right. The environment dictates the technology. That is the defining line between generic corporate software and a platform engineered specifically for construction.
So what's the workaround for the dead zones?
The fundamental requirement is robust offline capability. The underlying mechanism here is local caching. The app downloads the entire SDS library, the permit requirements, the incident logging forms, right to the device's local memory.
So your foreman can be 3 stories underground and still pull up the exact chemical hazard sheet.
Yes. Or log a near-miss incident with photo evidence. And the moment that tablet walks back above ground and hits a cellular signal, the software automatically syncs all that data back to the home office.
That's incredible. Because the hazard doesn't disappear just because the 5G signal does, so the mitigation tools can't either.
Exactly. And having that seamless documentation changes behavior.
But I saw a case study in our materials about this. A mid-sized contractor ditched their paper binders for digital safety management, and within 18 months, they experienced a 40% reduction in recordable incidents.
40% is huge.
It is. So
Yeah.
what does this all mean? The software literally pays for itself. Because when you make safety easy to track and you remove the friction of hunting down paperwork, crews actually engage with the process.
They document the freight extension cord before it causes a fire, rather than just ignoring it because the reporting form is locked in the site trailer across the mud.
Yeah, reducing that friction of reporting directly increases your leading indicators.
Yeah.
You catch the small things before they become recordable incidents.
Which leads directly to insurance premium savings. It transforms the software from an IT expense into a revenue protector.
Totally.
But beyond incident reduction, digital platforms solve a major logistical nightmare for growing companies, which is the compliance cascade.
The compliance cascade. I want to dig into that because scaling a business across state lines is where a lot of contractors get into serious trouble.
Oh, it's a minefield.
If you're building in California under CA OSHA, your regulatory baseline is totally different than federal OSHA.
Yeah, vastly different. Federal OSHA sets the floor. That's just the absolute minimum requirement. But state plans add their own highly specific, rigorous layers.
Like what?
Well, California has intense heat illness prevention standards and specific wildfire smoke mitigation protocols.
Right.
But if you cross the border into Washington state under Washington LNI, their fall protection triggers and crane operation rules are distinct. Good digital software inherently maps these jurisdictional borders.
So instead of relying on your project manager to moonlight as a legal scholar just to keep the site open, the software does the translation for you.
Yes. The system recognizes the GPS location of the project and automatically surfaces the specific compliance checklists, the toolbox talks, the hazard protocols required for that exact state.
Wow.
It ensures your crew in Seattle is meeting Washington standards, while your Los Angeles crew is meeting California's. All verifiable in real time by the executive team at headquarters.
Which brings us to a really crucial realization. Safety compliance doesn't exist in a vacuum. The exact same digital infrastructure required to track your HazCom is tied directly to scaling your entire operation.
You can't scale one without the other.
Right. Without completely drowning your team in admin busywork.
Right.
And actually looking at Smart Business Automator's market intelligence report again. The growth in the safety software market perfectly correlates with increased overall operational enforcement.
That makes perfect sense.
You have to track these regulatory changes, but you also have to track your RFIs, your submittals, your daily logs.
It is the only path to sustainable scaling. Because if a construction business doubles its project volume, it cannot afford to double its administrative overhead at a 1-to-1 ratio.
The business would collapse under the weight of its own payroll.
Exactly. Technology has to bridge that gap.
But here's my worry for you listening.
Yeah.
If we digitize absolutely everything, the safety logs, the daily reports, the RFIs, the specs, doesn't this just mean your highly paid project managers and your veteran superintendents are spending half their day staring at an iPad instead of actually building?
Yeah.
I mean, we just swapped a paper binder for a glowing rectangle.
This raises an important question. It's a very valid hesitation. That is exactly what happens when companies adopt basic digital storage.
Right.
If you just take a filing cabinet and put it on a tablet, you haven't solved the problem. You've just made the filing cabinet electronic.
So what's the alternative?
This is where the distinction between digital storage and an AI-powered platform becomes the dividing line for success. An AI-powered platform built specifically for construction uses machine learning to eliminate screen time, not add to it.
Okay, I need to understand the mechanics of that.
Yeah.
How does the AI actually reduce the time spent in the software?
It starts with document intelligence and smart search. In a traditional software setup, if a super needs a specific HVAC mounting spec, they are tapping through endless nested folders.
Oh yeah. Project file submittals, mechanical, HVAC, floor two.
Yeah.
Just click in forever.
Exactly. But with AI, the system uses natural language processing.
So that essentially means you can just talk to the software like it's a colleague, right? You don't need to use specific Boolean search operators or know the exact file name.
Precisely the opposite of the old way. You just type or say, show me the latest permit and mounting specs for the second floor HVAC, and the AI understands the context.
That is wild.
It instantly cross-references the entire project database and retrieves the exact documents. It automatically tags, sorts, and categorizes photos and plans as they're uploaded. No one is manually organizing folders anymore.
That alone recovers hours of lost time. I can't tell you how many times a concrete pour has been delayed by an hour with a pump truck just sitting there burning diesel because someone is frantically searching their email threads for the most recently approved structural drawing.
The AI completely eliminates that bottleneck. But it goes deeper with daily logs and RFI assistance.
How so?
Well, the system allows a foreman to dictate a long, rambling voice note as they walk the site at the end of the day. The AI listens to that audio, parses out the irrelevant chatter, and turns it into a clear, structured daily report.
Just from a voice note.
Yeah. It identifies mentioned delays, assigns action items to specific subs, and even logs the weather conditions automatically.
What about the RFIs? Because requests for information are usually massive, dense documents that take hours to cross-reference.
Oh, this is the best part. When a sub submits an RFI, say they hit a structural steel clash that wasn't on their prints, the AI doesn't just route the document.
What does it do?
It actually reads the 50-page spec book, searches the historical context of the project, finds the original structural engineer's note buried on page 42, and generates a draft response.
You're kidding.
No. The AI does all the heavy lifting of gathering the context. The project manager simply reviews the logic, verifies it, and hits approve.
So the AI is basically functioning as a highly efficient junior engineer who has memorized every single document, permit, and email associated with the project since day one.
That is exactly the function it serves. And it gets even more sophisticated with proactive risk and health monitoring.
Meaning it looks ahead.
Yes. The software cross-references the schedule with incoming data to detect delays before they happen. Let's look at change order impact analysis. When a change order for new plumbing routing comes in, the AI doesn't just store the PDF. It cross-references that new routing with the electrical schematics, realizes there's going to be a spatial conflict in the drop ceiling, and immediately flags it.
Wow.
It'll say, hey, this will require 3 extra days of labor, and automatically updates the projected budget variance.
See, that is where margins are saved. Change orders are notoriously where profitability goes to die, because the secondary and tertiary impacts on the schedule are never fully calculated until it's too late.
Exactly.
But none of this brilliant AI analysis matters if it's trapped in a silo, right? Like if the field app doesn't talk to the accounting department, you still have someone doing manual data entry.
Seamless workflows are mandatory, and this is where API integration comes into play.
Let's break down API for a second. It basically acts as a universal translator between different pieces of software.
Exactly. It allows the safety platform and the project management app to speak directly to your existing accounting software, like Sage or Viewpoint.
So when the AI calculates that 3-day labor extension from the change order,
the API automatically translates that data into the exact format your home office accounting software needs. The budget updates in real time without a human being having to retype a single number.
no double entry, no transposition errors.
None. The system even runs automated compliance checking, reviewing project info against the spec requirements to catch expensive oversight risks before the raw materials are even ordered.
So bringing this all together, an AI project assistant acts as a deeply project-aware helper. It handles the administrative heavy lifting, allowing your project managers to oversee significantly more volume while maintaining perfect alignment between the guys in the mud and the office.
You're leveraging technology to actively synthesize the chaos of a job site, making your team faster, safer, and remarkably more profitable.
This has been an incredibly eye-opening dive into the reality of job site risk. So for you listening, we want to distill this down to immediate action steps you can take today to protect your business. First, audit your current chemical inventory. Do not assume you know what is rolling around in the back of your foreman's truck. Second, digitize your Seiki datasheet library immediately. Do not rely on paper binders. Third, implement a strict digital tracking system for your toolbox talks.
You need that instantaneous proof of compliance.
Right. And finally, set up clear, standardized, mobile-first incident reporting workflows. The financial and operational cost of doing nothing is simply too high.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Throughout this discussion, we've focused heavily on how software and AI can track what has happened, right? Ensuring you meet today's compliance standards.
Yeah.
But consider the trajectory of this technology. As these AI project assistants ingest millions of daily logs, thousands of schedule variations, and years of historical safety data, how long before these systems start accurately predicting which specific subcontractor is most likely to have an injury next Tuesday?
Oh, wow.
Imagine having the predictive insight to intervene, adjust the schedule, or mandate a specific safety huddle to stop a catastrophic accident before the hazard even materializes. That proactive prevention is where this revolution is heading next.
Going from reactive compliance to proactive predictive prevention. It really circles back to where we started, taking the invisible threats to your business, making them visible so you can protect your crew and your bottom line.
Exactly.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe to the Scaling Legends podcast on your preferred platform. Leave a rating and review to help other contractors discover the show. Share this conversation with colleagues or your team, and visit smartbusinessautomator.com to learn more about the tools that can help you scale. Stay safe out there and keep building.